The jungle was silent except for the distant cry of strange birds. The air was heavy, filled with the smell of wet earth and alien flowers. Ethan moved carefully through the thick vines, his boots sinking into the mud. He had been walking for hours, searching for a safe place to rest after the crash of his transport ship. His squad was gone, the wreckage scattered, and he was alone on this unknown world. He felt it before he saw it. That strange weight, the heavy feeling that eyes were watching him. His hand moved slowly to the side of his belt where a broken piece of metal pipe hung like a weapon. It was all he had left. The trees around him rustled, not from the wind, but from something moving. Ethan stopped, his breath slow, his eyes scanning the shadows. The jungle seemed alive, each leaf trembling, each branch waiting, and then she appeared. From the darkness, a figure stepped forward. She was taller than him. Her skin pale with a faint shimmer, her long hair flowed like liquid silver, and her sharp eyes glowed faintly in the dim light. Her teeth flashed when she smiled, small but razor-sharp. The alien girl looked young, yet her presence carried danger like a predator ready to strike. She walked in slow circles around him, her movements smooth, almost elegant, but every step reminded him of a hunting animal. Ethan's body froze, every muscle ready. He knew she could kill him in seconds. Then she leaned close, so close that he could feel her breath against his ear. Her voice was soft, almost gentle, but the words were filled with hunger. "You smell delicious, your flesh must be so tender," she whispered. Ethan's blood ran cold. His grip tightened on the broken pipe. He thought this was the end. He expected her to lunge at him, tear into his body, and end his life within moments. Yet she didn't move. She only smiled wider. Watching him with curious eyes, his instincts screamed at him to run, but he did not. Humans did not turn their backs on danger, not when survival meant standing strong. Ethan forced himself to meet her gaze. His voice was steady, even though his heart thundered in his chest. "You'll have to fight harder than that if you want me," he said, his tone firm. For a moment, silence filled the jungle. The alien girl tilted her head, as if she was studying him like a puzzle she could not solve. Her lips curled again into that unsettling smile. "You are not afraid," she said softly, almost with surprise. "Every creature fears me. Every prey runs. But you stand still." Ethan kept his eyes on her, refusing to blink. He knew fear was what predators wanted. They loved the chase, loved the weakness of those who begged. He would not give her that satisfaction. The alien girl took another slow step closer. Her eyes narrowed, her sharp nails brushing lightly against the bark of a tree as she circled him. "Humans," she whispered, tasting the word. "I have heard of you. Your kind fights even when broken, even when there is no hope." Her voice carried a mix of mockery and fascination. Ethan felt his chest tighten, but he refused to lower his guard. The silence grew heavier. The night creatures of the jungle stopped their cries, as if even they feared her presence. Ethan's breathing was the only sound. Slow and steady, his body wanted to tremble, but his mind forced control. The alien girl bent closer again, her glowing eyes staring into his. "Why don't you run?" she asked softly. "Why don't you beg?" "Because I am human," Ethan answered, "and humans don't beg." For the first time, her smile faltered. Her expression shifted, her eyes narrowing. She looked at him not as prey, but as something strange. Something she had not expected. For a long moment, she said nothing, simply watching him. Finally, she gave a small laugh, the sound sharp and chilling. "Interesting," she said. "Very interesting." She turned away slightly, though her body remained tense. Ethan realized she was holding herself back. He could see it in the way her claws flexed, in the way her teeth glimmered in the faint light. She wanted to taste him. Every part of her body screamed hunger, But still she hesitated. Ethan's heartbeat slowed just a little. He knew he was still alive. But the danger was far from over. The alien girl's interest was not kindness. It was curiosity. And curiosity in a predator could be just as deadly. The jungle around them felt smaller, the air tighter. Two beings stood facing each other, one human with nothing but broken metal, and one alien girl with the power to kill with a single strike. Yet, in that moment, she did not attack. She only whispered once more, softer than before. "You smell delicious. Human, but perhaps." "You are not only food." The words chilled Ethan to his bones. He did not know if she had spared him or if she was simply waiting for the perfect moment. All he knew was that the game had begun and he was trapped inside it. The alien girl stood still for a long time, her glowing eyes never leaving Ethan. The jungle seemed to breathe with them, the wind carrying the thick scent of wet leaves and distant rain. Ethan's grip on the broken pipe stayed tight, but his mind was working fast. He had to understand her. If she was going to kill him, she would have done it already. So why was she holding back? She took a step closer, the mud not even clinging to her bare feet. Her movements were silent, controlled, every muscle like a coiled spring. "You humans," she murmured. "You smell different from anything else I've hunted." Her voice was slow, almost curious. "Not just your flesh, but something inside." Ethan kept his voice calm. "Maybe it's called will." Her smile returned, sharp and unsettling. "Will?" she repeated. "I've eaten warriors with will. They taste stronger." She tilted her head, the silver strands of her hair brushing her shoulders. "But you, human, you are not trembling." Inside, Ethan's pulse was hammering. But he knew showing fear was a mistake. He straightened his back. "You think I'm going to make this easy for you? You're wrong." A strange laugh escaped her lips, low and melodic. "Oh, I don't want easy," she said. "The chase is always sweeter than the meal." Ethan took a small step sideways, testing her reaction. Her eyes tracked him immediately, the way a predator's eyes track a wounded animal. It was clear if he made a wrong move, she'd be on him in an instant. "You want to run?" she asked softly. "Run, human? I will give you a head start." "No," Ethan replied. "If you want me, you'll have to take me right here." Her expression shifted, not to anger, but intrigue. She lowered her head slightly, as if studying him from a new angle. "Why? Do you think standing still makes you stronger?" "I think you're trying to figure out if I'm prey or not," Ethan said. Her smile widened. "Maybe I am," she whispered. Her voice dropped lower. "My people. We eat to survive, yes, but we also hunt for something more. A weak creatures. Meat is soft, easy, but it leaves no memory. A strong creature." She let her gaze linger on him. "A strong creature stays with you forever." Ethan's jaw tightened. "So, am I a meal, or am I something else?" She walked past him slowly, close enough that her shoulder brushed his. Her scent was wild like rain, smoke, and something metallic. She circled behind him, speaking near his ear. "That's what I want to know." Ethan didn't turn. He could feel her eyes on the back of his neck. The silence between them grew heavy again, broken only by the distant calls of night creatures. Then she stepped in front of him. "I have an idea," she said. "Survive one night in this jungle with me. If you live, maybe you're not prey after all." It was a dangerous offer, but Ethan saw no other choice. "Fine," he said. "But if I survive, you don't try to eat me." Her sharp teeth glinted as she smirked. "Agreed." For now, the night fell fast. The alien sky filled with twin moons casting pale light over the jungle. She moved ahead of him, her body blending with the shadows. Every so often, she would glance back to see if he was keeping up. They passed, through thick vines, crossed shallow streams, and climbed steep roots twice. Ethan heard movement in the dark, but before he could react, she was already there, striking faster than his eyes could follow, each time. She returned with blood on her claws, not his. But from the beasts that lurked nearby, Ethan realized something. She wasn't just keeping him alive out of curiosity, she was also showing him her power. Every kill was effortless, brutal, precise. When they stopped by a fallen tree to rest, she sat across from him, her glowing eyes still fixed on him. "Do you know why my kind fears humans?" she asked. Ethan shook his head. "I didn't think you feared anything." She leaned forward, her voice barely above a whisper. "Because you fight like cornered animals. You keep going even when there's nothing left. That makes you dangerous." Ethan met her gaze. "Then maybe you should be afraid of me." Her laugh was low and unsettling. "Maybe I should," she said. "Or maybe I should test how far you can go." The jungle around them shifted again, the wind carrying the sound of something large moving nearby. The alien girl's head snapped. Toward the noise, her eyes narrowing, she rose to her feet, claws extending. "Stay close, human. Tonight will decide if you are worth more than your flesh." Ethan followed, the broken pipe still in his hand. He didn't know if she was leading him to safety or into a hunt he wouldn't survive, but one thing was certain. The game between predator and prey was far from over. The jungle was never silent for long. Strange calls echoed through the night. Deep roars from unseen beasts mixed with the sharp cries of winged creatures. Ethan walked behind the alien girl, his pipe ready in his grip. His body was exhausted, but his mind stayed alert. Every shadow felt alive, every rustle like the start of a threat. The alien girl moved with ease, her glowing eyes guiding her through the dark. She never stumbled, never hesitated. She looked like she belonged to this world. She was both beautiful and terrifying, and Ethan could not decide which part of her was stronger. They stopped near a clearing where moonlight spilled down through the high branches. She turned, her silver hair shining in the pale glow. Her gaze locked on him. Her smile was sharp but thoughtful this time. "Not just hungry. You still don't run," she said, circling him slowly. "You still stand tall. Even though you know I could rip you apart in seconds." Ethan steadied his breath. "Running would only make me weak." Her sharp teeth flashed. "Maybe," she whispered, "but weakness tastes sweeter." She moved closer, her head tilting as if to study him. Ethan felt the heat of her presence. Her hands, with long claws, hovered near his arm, but did not touch. Her voice dropped lower, filled with something more dangerous than curiosity-desire. "My hunger is constant," she confessed. "It is in my blood, in my bones. When I see flesh, I want it. When I smell fear, I crave it." She leaned closer, her lips almost brushing his ear. "But with you, human, I feel something different." Ethan's pulse raced. He forced himself to answer. "You're not starving. You're testing me." Her eyes narrowed, but a faint smile touched her lips. "Clever," she said. "You see more than most prey." She stepped back, her claws curling into her palms, as if she was restraining herself. For a moment, silence fell between them, only broken by the far-off cries of beasts. Then she asked, "Tell me, human, why don't you beg? Do you not value your life?" Ethan looked straight into her glowing eyes. "I value it," he said. "That's why I won't waste it on fear. I'd rather fight than beg." Her gaze softened slightly, though her hunger still flickered in. Her expression, "Strange creature," she whispered. "My people take pleasure in watching prey break apart. The fear makes the flesh taste better, but you make me wonder if fear is only one kind of flavor." Ethan's grip on the pipe tightened. "You won't taste mine," he said. Her smile widened again, but it was not mocking this time. It carried a spark of interest, Perhaps not tonight. She said. The jungle stirred suddenly, a heavy growl rising from the shadows. A massive beast with black scales pushed through the vines, its jaws wide and dripping with saliva. Ethan froze, ready to fight. But the alien girl stepped forward without hesitation. The beast lunged, but she moved like lightning. Her claws tore through its throat, hot blood spraying across the clearing. The creature fell with a thunderous crash, twitching before it lay still. Ethan watched her, his chest rising and falling with heavy breaths. She stood over the body, her claws dripping red, her glowing eyes looked wild, her breathing quickened. He could see the struggle in her face. Her gaze turned toward him, her nostrils flaring as she smelled the blood. Her voice came out hoarse. The hunger. It wants me to feed. On you. Ethan raised the pipe, ready to defend himself. Then fight it, he said. Her jaw clenched, her claws shaking as she dug them into the soil. She let out a cry, half anger, half desperation. You don't understand. Human, she growled. This is what I am. This is what I was born to be. I can't stop the hunger. Ethan stepped forward, despite the danger. You can, he said firmly. You just did. You killed the beast instead of me. Her chest heaved as she looked at him, her sharp teeth clenched. She closed her eyes for a moment and took a deep breath. The glow in her eyes softened, the wild hunger dimming slightly. Finally, she whispered, You are unlike anything I have ever seen. You do not act like prey. You do not taste like prey. She reached out slowly, her clawed hand brushing lightly against his shoulder. Perhaps humans are something more. Ethan stood still, letting her touch linger for a moment. Maybe you're not only a predator either, he said. Her eyes widened at his words. For the first time, there was confusion in her face, a hesitation that seemed to break through her predator's mask. She pulled her hand back quickly, turning away as if she didn't want him to see her weakness. We will see, she whispered. Into the night, by dawn, I will know if you are prey or something greater. Ethan watched her as she walked ahead, her silver hair shining in the moonlight. He followed, his heart pounding. The line between predator and prey was no longer clear. Something was changing between them, something dangerous, something new and deep inside. Ethan knew this night was only the beginning. The jungle night grew colder as the twin moons climbed higher. Mist rose between the twisted roots and heavy leaves, wrapping the world in a pale glow. Ethan followed the alien girl in silence. Each step she took was silent, graceful, as if the shadows themselves opened to let her pass. Ethan's body ached. His uniform was torn, his skin cut by sharp branches. Yet he kept moving. His human pride wouldn't allow him to stumble. Not in front of her. She glanced back once, her glowing eyes catching his. It wasn't the look of a predator now, was something sharper, something searching. At last, she stopped near the base of a massive tree. Its trunk rose so high, it seemed to vanish into the clouds. The roots twisted into a hollow wide enough for them to shelter inside. She motioned for Ethan to enter. Rest here, she said, her voice steady but quiet. Ethan hesitated. And while I sleep, will you decide if I'm food or not? Her lips curved into a faint smile. If I wanted you for food, human, you would already be bones. He studied her, trying to read the strange honesty in her eyes. Slowly, he stepped inside the hollow. The ground was damp, but safer than the open jungle. She crouched at the entrance, watching the darkness, her claws ready. Time passed slowly. The jungle outside came alive with roars and cries. Ethan could hear distant creatures tearing each other apart. Every sound sent a chill through him, but he noticed the alien girl never flinched. She sat still, a statue of strength. Her presence, strangely, made him feel safer. You could have Left me to die, Ethan said, after a long silence. Why didn't you? Her head turned slightly, the glow of her eyes catching the moonlight. Because I wanted to see what you are, she replied. You are not like prey. You stand, you fight. Even your blood smells different. Ethan let out a tired laugh. Different how? Sweeter? Her smile flashed, sharp and dangerous. Stronger, she corrected. It tempts me more than sweetness ever could. He leaned back against the root wall. So I'm a temptation. Not a man, she tilted her head, as if considering. Maybe you are both. The quiet stretched between them. The alien girl shifted slightly closer, her silver hair brushing against her shoulder as she studied him. What do humans trust in when death is close? She asked. Ethan thought for a moment. Each other, he said. We survive because we don't stand alone. Her expression darkened. My kind does not trust, she said. We are hunters. We take what we want. We do not share, not even. With our own. Ethan's brows furrowed. That sounds like living in shadows all the time. Her eyes narrowed. Shadows protect, she answered. They hide weakness. They keep hunger fed. Ethan shook his head. Or maybe shadows just keep you alone. Her gaze lingered on him, longer this time, as if his words had touched something hidden beneath her armor. She looked away, but not before he caught the flicker of conflict in her eyes. A sudden growl ripped through the night, deeper and closer than before. Ethan sat up quickly. His pipe ready, the alien girl rose smoothly, her body tense. Stay here, she commanded. Then slipped into the darkness. Ethan waited, heart pounding. He could hear the sound of struggle outside, the clash of claws. The screech of another beast, then silence. A moment later, she returned. Her claws dripping black blood. Her chest rose and fell. Her face calm, as if the fight was nothing. You're safe, she said simply, sitting down at the hollows. Entrance again. Ethan looked at her for a long moment. You could have left me for it, he said, but you didn't. She didn't answer right away. Her claws flexed in the dirt. Her voice softer when it came. I don't know why. Ethan leaned his head back, exhaustion weighing on him. Maybe because you're starting to trust me. Her head snapped toward him. Her eyes sharp. Trust is weakness, she said quickly, almost defensively. Or strength, Ethan replied. His voice steady. Trust means you're not alone in the fight. She said nothing. But her gaze dropped for a brief moment, as if the idea unsettled her. Hours passed. Ethan drifted in and out of uneasy rest. Each time he opened his eyes, he saw her still there at the entrance, guarding the shadows, her silver hair glowing faintly. Her claws ready, she never moved far, never let the jungle near him. By the time dawn's pale light broke through the trees, Ethan realized something had changed. She hadn't eaten him, hadn't abandoned him. She had protected him through the night. As he rose, stretching sore muscles, she stood. Her glowing eyes met his. You lived, she said, almost as if she had doubted it. You made sure I did, Ethan answered, whether you admit it or not. Her expression flickered again, the faintest trace of conflict behind her sharp features. She turned away quickly, her voice quiet. This doesn't change what I am. Ethan smiled faintly. Maybe not. But it changes what you could be. The words hung between them like the first light of day. Soft, uncertain, but real, and in that fragile dawn, predator and human walked side by side into the unknown, shadows trailing behind, but trust beginning to grow. Asterisk. The sun rose slowly over the alien jungle, spilling gold light through the thick canopy. Ethan followed the alien girl as they pushed deeper into the wild. His legs ached, his throat was dry, but he forced himself to keep pace. He would not look weak in her eyes. Not after surviving the night. She moved ahead with the same silent grace, her silver hair flashing in the morning light. Every step was controlled. every glance sharp. She was a predator at her core, but something had shifted. She did not look at him with the same hunger as before. Yet the hunger was not gone. A tide lingered beneath the surface like fire, waiting. For air, they reached a ridge that overlooked a valley of twisted trees and dark rivers. The air smelled strange, like smoke mixed with iron. Ethan slowed. Scanning the shadows below, he felt danger before he heard it. The low growl came from behind, deep and rattling, in a flash. A beast leaped from the undergrowth. Its body was massive, armored with thick scales, its jaws lined with double rows of sharp teeth. Ethan swung his pipe instinctively, striking the side of its head. The blow barely made it stumble. The alien girl lunged forward, claws slashing through its hide. Black blood sprayed across the ground. The beast roared and struck back, its tail whipping through the air. Ethan didn't move fast enough. He felt the tail slam into his chest. The force threw him against the ridge wall, pain exploding through his ribs. He gasped, clutching his side, his vision blurred, the world tilted, but he forced himself to stand. The alien girl finished the beast with one final strike, tearing open its throat. The body collapsed, shaking the ground beneath them. Ethan tried to step forward, but stumbled. Blood trickled from his lips. His chest burned with every breath. She turned toward him, her glowing eyes widening at the sight of his injury. For a moment, silence filled the air. Her claws twitched. Her breath quickened, and her nostrils flared. The scent of his blood was too strong. Her pupils dilated, her sharp teeth flashing as her lips parted slightly. She trembled, not from weakness, but from the overwhelming urge inside her. Ethan saw the battle in her eyes, the fight between instinct and something else. He gripped the pipe tighter, though his hands shook. "Don't," he warned. His voice hoarse, she stepped closer, her claws digging into the dirt. "Your blood," she whispered. Her voice raw. "It calls to me. It burns in my chest. I want it. I need it." Ethan's breath came heavy, but he stood his ground. "If you take me now, you'll never know what I could be." Her face twisted, sharp with hunger and pain. She closed her eyes tightly, shaking her head as if trying to drown out the instinct. "You don't understand, human. I was born for this. My body, my heart. Every part of me screams to feed, Ethan." Forced to step forward despite the pain, then fight it. "You've fought every beast in this jungle. Now fight yourself." Her eyes snapped open, glowing brighter. Her chest rose and fell as she took another step closer. Her claws hovered near his shoulder. Trembling, she could tear through him in a heartbeat. One bite and her hunger would be satisfied, but she didn't. Her claws scratched against the rock. Instead, sparks flying, she let out a guttural cry. Half rage, half despair, her body shook violently. Her teeth clenched as she pulled herself back. Ethan watched, barely able to stay upright. "You're stronger than the hunger," he said, his voice low but firm. "That's what makes you different." Her breathing slowed, though her hands still shook. She stared at him with eyes filled not only with hunger, but with conflict. For the first time, he saw fear in her, not fear of him, but fear of herself. Slowly, she stepped back, digging her claws into the earth to keep from reaching for him. "You are a fool, human," she whispered, her voice trembling. "You think trust will save you, but trust only breaks you." Ethan gave a small, pained smile. "Maybe. But it also saves more lives than fear ever did." The alien girl turned sharply, pacing like a caged animal. Her silver hair whipped around her as she fought herself in silence. Finally, she stopped and looked at him again. Her face was still sharp, still dangerous, but something in her gaze had changed. "You bleed. Yet you stand," she said softly, almost with awe. "You should be weak, but you are still strong. Humans, you are more stubborn than I believed." Ethan leaned against the ridge wall, catching his breath. That's what keeps us alive. Her eyes lingered on him for a long moment, then she turned away. I will not kill you today, she whispered, though her voice carried the weight of struggle, but I cannot promise tomorrow. Ethan nodded slowly, pain coursing through him. That's enough for now. They stood in silence as the jungle wind howled across the ridge, both of them scarred, both of them fighting battles inside. For Ethan, it was survival. For her, it was hunger. And in that fragile moment, neither was predator nor prey. They were something in between. Something uncertain, but deep down, Ethan knew this was only the breaking point. The true test was yet to come. The jungle air grew tense as the day stretched on. The sunlight that filtered through the canopy felt dim, almost swallowed by the heavy mist that clung to the trees. Ethan leaned against a rock, still sore from his injuries. His ribs ached with every breath, but he refused to show weakness. He knew the alien girl was watching him. Testing him still, she stood near the edge of the ridge, her silver hair lifting in the breeze. Her glowing eyes scanned the horizon as if searching for something or someone. Her body was rigid, her claws flexing. Ethan noticed the shift in her behavior. She was restless, almost uneasy. What is it? Ethan asked, his voice low. She did not turn to him. We are not alone, she whispered. Ethan's muscles tensed. He raised his makeshift weapon. But before he could prepare further, the sound came. It started as a faint hum, then grew into sharp echoes of footsteps. Heavy, deliberate, powerful. From the trees emerged three figures, taller than the alien girl. Their bodies were lean but muscular, their eyes glowing the same eerie light. Their sharp teeth glistened in the dim light. They were her kind hunters, predators, just like her. But colder, more ruthless. The leader stepped forward, his voice cutting through the air. Sira, he said, his gaze fixed on her. You have wandered far, and yet you have not fed. His eyes slid to Ethan, sharp with hunger. Why is this human still breathing? Ethan's grip tightened on the pipe. He stood straight despite his pain, refusing to show fear. The alien girl's Sira moved slightly in front of him, blocking the other's view of his weakness. He is mine, she said firmly. The leader tilted his head, his smile cruel. Yours to kill, yours to taste. Then why do you let him walk? The others growled softly, their sharp claws scraping the bark of nearby trees. Ethan could feel the weight of their hunger pressing down on him. His heart raced, but he held his ground. Sira's eyes narrowed, because he is not like the others. She said, he is strong. He does not beg. He does not run. The leader's laugh was harsh. Strength. He bleeds. He is prey. Do not let his defiance confuse you, sister. One of the others stepped forward. Their gaze locked on Ethan. Let us end him. His flesh will be sweet. His fear already flavors the air. Ethan clenched his jaw but said nothing. He refused to give them the reaction they wanted. Sira's body stiffened, her claws twitching at her sides. No, she said, her voice sharp. You will not touch him. The three froze, surprise flashing across their faces. The leader's smile faded into something colder. You defy us, Sira? She bared her sharp teeth. I protect what is mine. The tension thickened. The leader's glowing eyes flicked between her and Ethan. He stepped closer, his voice low and threatening. You forget who you are. You forget the blood in your veins. We are hunters. He is prey. Do not shame us with weakness. Sira's claws extended fully. Her voice trembled, not with fear, but with rage. Weakness is letting hunger rule us. Strength is control. The other hunters hissed, their eyes glowing brighter. Ethan knew it was about to break. He gripped his weapon, ready even though he knew he stood no chance. The leader snarled, then prove yourself. Kill him now. Tear him apart. Show us you are still one of us." Sira stood still, her body tense. Ethan could see the storm inside her. Her kind demanded loyalty, demanded blood. She was torn between everything she had been taught and everything she had begun to feel. Ethan took a step forward, his voice steady despite his ribs burning. "If you're going to choose, then choose. But no, this I'm not afraid of dying." The hunters laughed darkly, but Sira's eyes snapped to him. Her gaze softened for only a second, then hardened again as she turned back to her kin. "I will not kill him," she said, each word heavy with defiance. The leader roared, lunging toward Ethan, but before he could reach him, Sira struck. Her claws clashed with his in a violent spark, the air filled with the sound of growls, screeches, and ripping flesh. The battle erupted. Sira moved with savage speed, her claws slicing through the air. The other hunters joined in. Surrounding her, Ethan swung his pipe, striking one across the head, but was shoved back against the ridge. He refused to fall, even as pain tore through him. Sira fought like fire, her silver hair whipped as her claws slashed. Her voice was a snarl of rage and fury for the first time. Ethan realized she wasn't just protecting him, she was making a choice. She was fighting her own people for him. The leader crashed into her, their claws locking. His growl was deep. "You are no sister of ours," he spat. Sira's glowing eyes flared brighter. "Then I am something greater," she roared, and with one furious strike, she drove her claws deep into his chest. The leader fell, collapsing with a heavy thud. The others froze, their snarls fading. They looked at her with shock, then with fear. Slowly, they backed into the shadows, disappearing into the jungle. Silence returned, broken only by Ethan's heavy breathing. Sira stood, her body trembling with exhaustion, black blood dripping from her claws. She turned to Ethan, her expression unreadable. "You fought your own kind," Ethan said quietly. Her eyes met his, glowing softer now. "I chose," she whispered. "And now I cannot go back." Ethan nodded slowly. "Then you're with me." She stepped closer, her voice low, for now, human. "But no, this the hunger never leaves, not even for you." Ethan met her gaze without fear. "Then I'll trust you to fight it." And in that moment, predator and human stood side by side, enemies of the jungle, but something more than allies. The jungle was quiet again, but it was not the peaceful kind of quiet. It was the silence that came after blood had been spilled. The ground was still wet where the alien hunters had. Fallen black stains marked the roots and rocks. Ethan stood breathing hard, his ribs burning with every inhale. Yet his eyes never left Sira. She stood tall among the shadows, her silver hair messy, her claws dripping with the blood of her own kin. For a long moment, she did not speak. Her glowing eyes were fixed on the ground as though she could not bear the weight of what she had done. She had killed her leader. She had driven away her own people. And all for a single human. Ethan stepped forward slowly, his broken pipe still in his hand. "You didn't have to do that," he said softly. "You could have walked away." Sira lifted her head, her sharp teeth glinting faintly in the weak light. "If I walked away, they would have torn you apart," she whispered. "And I could not allow it." Ethan searched her face, trying to understand. "Why me?" he asked. "Why not let them kill me like they've killed countless others before?" Her eyes narrowed, not with anger, but with conflict. "Because you are not like them," she said firmly. "You stood before me without fear. You faced death and did not beg. You faced my hunger and told me to fight it. You changed something in me." Ethan let out a breath, his body trembling with exhaustion. "So what now?" he asked. "You've turned against your kind. You can't go back to them." Her gaze shifted to the horizon where the twin suns were beginning to rise. Their light spilled across the jungle, painting everything gold. For a moment, she looked almost human. Her sharp edges softened by the dawn. "I don't know what I am now," she admitted, her voice low. "Hunter, exile, protector. All and none." She turned her glowing eyes back to him. "But I know this, you are not prey." Ethan's lips twitched into a faint smile, despite the pain in his chest. "That's good to hear," he said, "because I was getting tired of being called food." A soft laugh escaped her lips, a sound that held no hunger. Only something new and fragile. She stepped closer, her claws no longer raised. Her hand hovered near his shoulder, then touched lightly, carefully, as if she feared hurting him. "You bleed and yet you stand," she whispered. "You break and yet you fight. Your flesh may be tender, human, but your spirit is steel." Ethan held her gaze. "And you, Sira? Maybe you're more than hunger. Maybe you're more than what they made you believe." Her eyes softened, but only for a heartbeat. Then they hardened again. "Do not mistake me for something gentle, human. My hunger will always be with me. It whispers even now. It tells me your blood would taste like fire. It tells me your flesh would end my pain." Ethan didn't flinch. "Then fight it, like you fought them. Like you've fought everything since we met." The jungle wind shifted, carrying the scent of blood. Sira inhaled slowly, her eyes flickering with conflict. Finally, she exhaled and stepped back, her claws retracted, her shoulders relaxed. "You are strange," she said, shaking her head, "strange and stubborn. Perhaps that is why your kind is feared. Perhaps that is why I cannot kill you." Ethan grinned faintly. "I'll take that as a compliment." For the first time, she gave him a true smile. Small but real, not sharp or mocking, not filled with hunger. It was the kind of smile that carried something new, something uncertain. They began walking together through the jungle, the broken trees and dead beasts marking the path behind them. Ethan limped but kept pace. Sira stayed close, her sharp senses scanning the shadows for more threats. As they moved, Ethan thought about what had happened. He had lost his squad, his ship, his way home, but he had gained something else, something he could not name. He had looked into the eyes of a predator and found not just survival, but connection. When they reached a river, Sarah stopped. Her reflection shimmered in the water, glowing eyes staring back at her. For a long time, she said, "Nothing." Then, quietly, she asked Ethan, "If one day I lose control, if the hunger wins, will you fight me?" Ethan's grip tightened on his pipe. He looked at her, tired but unafraid. "If that day comes, I won't beg. I won't run. I'll fight. But until then, I'll trust you." Her eyes widened slightly. Her chest rose with a sharp breath. She turned her face away from the river and toward him. "You are either the bravest fool I have ever met, or the strongest spirit I have ever seen." Ethan smiled. "Maybe both." They stood together on the riverbank as the suns rose higher. The world around them was dangerous, uncertain, filled with beasts and enemies. But for the first time, they were not predator and prey, not hunter and hunted. They were something else, something new. And though the hunger still lived inside her, and though Ethan's strength was fading, one truth bound them together. They were no longer alone. The jungle stretched out before them, endless and full of danger, but side by side, they stepped into it. The story of predator and prey had ended, and something greater had begun.